Anytime a clip of a magical girl transformation goes a little bit viral and moves past its target audience, you'll see a lot of the same comments. Why is this so long? The transformation sequence doesn't need to be more than 20 seconds. The villains are long gone by now. And I know the last one is jokes, I've made the same joke before, but this has prompted me to ask, are modern day magical girl transformations too long? The viral transformation that inspired this video was actually the Powerpuff Girls Z transformations that were going around Twitter a little bit back in, I think, January. One of my favorite, if not my favorite, transformations of all time. Mind you, those transformations were being criticized and they were about 30 seconds each. If you're a frequent watcher of magical girl shows, that's really nothing. That's like less than the current average time. It was hard for me to relate to these criticisms because these do not feel that long to me. And then I started thinking about the Precure transformations. How would these same people react to these theatrical and elaborate transformation sequences that appear every single episode without fail? Well, I didn't have to stretch my imagination too far because Precure is susceptible to this commentary every year. But I also think it's important we talk about why Precure transformations and magical girl transformations of present day seem so much longer than their predecessors. I almost said their ancestors. My God. And I want to spend time talking about how much magical girl transformations mean to me. But at first, there's no beating around the bush. Of course, it's about money. You probably already know this, but in present day magical girl shows, the transformations can act as an ad promoting the flagship toy of that specific piece of media. It's part of the reason why the main characters seem to transform every single episode, even when the episode would be fine without it. With at least one transformation per episode, it's implied that the more this item, this toy, this transformation song is featured, the better this toy will sell. But does that have anything to do with the length of a transformation? In other words, does the longer transformation sell better than the shorter transformation? Let's find out. We're going to use Precure as an example because it's just easier. The sales data is readily available to us. The seasons are varied, etc., etc. I want to make sure I preface this with a disclaimer that there are a multitude of things that play a factor in why a Precure season could sell better than another. Toy design, character reception, favorable art style, story, greater worldly matters outside of our control. But this is just a fun research topic, a little hypothesis if you will, to see if we can find a trend or any relation between the length of a transformation and how well it sells. Since we're told that transformations largely serve as product placement, let's find out. We're going to be using the trusty sales chart that updates quarterly every year. As a point of reference for best-selling seasons and such, the x-axis is measured in billions of yen. There are multiple sales charts and they have different numbers on each of them. I decided to choose one that had the most recent seasons on it as well, just to keep things consistent, so I had that information. I have not included Hirogaru Sky in this because Hirogaru Sky is still ongoing. We don't have the sales numbers for the first quarter of it, so it's not included in this video. I also had trouble deciding between using the solo transformations and the group transformations as a point of reference. Ultimately, I did go with the group transformations for this video rather than the solo ones because the group transformations appear more frequently throughout Precure seasons. But just in case anyone was curious, the shortest transformations are the ones in Yes 5 Precure. That's Yes 5 specifically, not Go-Go. And the longest are, you guessed it, but anyway, let's get into it, starting from the shortest. The shorter transformations are ones that are less than 1 minute and 40 seconds, while the longer ones are greater than 1 minute and 40 seconds. I just found that division was easy to handle. Starting from the shortest transformation, Hugto Precure comes in at number 1 for shortest group transformation, 1 minute and 1 second. And for the sales, Hugto lands at number 9. It sold 8.79 billion yen. The second shortest transformation coming in at 1 minute and 2 seconds is the Splash Star transformation. Splash Star lands at number 13 on the sales chart. It sold 7.34 billion yen. So Splash Star lands in the bottom half of sales. Third most shortest is Max Heart with 1 minute and 5 seconds for that transformation. And Max Heart, according to this chart that I used, came in at number 2 in total sales of all Precure Precure sales. It came in at 12.33 billion yen. Futari wa Precure was the fourth most shortest transformation. It is a minute and 13 seconds for the Futari wa girls, and Futari wa for sales was actually not as great as I expected it to be. I think it's because Precure was just gaining its bearings. It was the first season. They were just trying to figure stuff out. So Futari wa, compared to the seasons that follow it, Futari wa lands at number 12, selling 7.55 billion yen. Coming in for a tie at number 5 are Healing Good and Doki Doki. They both have transformations that are a minute and 27 seconds long. Doki Doki lands at number 7 on the sales chart, selling 9.91 billion yen, while Healing Good was not as lucky. It sold 6.43 billion yen and landed at number 15 on the sales chart. But there are many reasons why Healing Good did not sell very well. It is a post Panorama season. The post-Panorama seasons have been deeply affected in terms of sales. Healing Good was just the first one to experience that. So unfortunately, it landed at number 15. Coming in at number 6 for shortest transformations is Tropical Rouge. It landed with a minute and 29 seconds under its belt. The Tropical Rouge sales were also affected by said Panorama. Tropical Rouge sold second worst. That sounds harsh, but it was number 18. Out of the 19 seasons, it was number 18. There's not a specific number that tells me exactly how much Tropical Rouge sold in this chart that I used, just based on the trend that I was seeing between this chart and a couple of other charts that I was seeing. The numbers just continue to go down. So Tropical Rouge sold second least of all the seasons so far. The 7th shortest transformations, coming in at a minute and 32 seconds, is Heart Catch. Now I have to mention, Heart Catch is one of those seasons that has multiple group transformations because of the mid-season and the late season cure, Moonlight and Sunshine. However, for this video, for the sake of this video, I chose the Blossom and Marine one because it appears more frequently, appears for about over 20 episodes, while the triple transformation with Sunshine is maybe like 10, 15 episodes, and the Moonlight transformation, all 4 of them, is also about 15 episodes. So I went with the length of the Blossom and Marine transformation, which was a minute and 32 seconds. The same problem occurs with Sweet. Any season that just had a late arriving cure is where I did that. But anyway, Heart Catch, as we know, as a lot of people may know, Heart Catch comes in at number 1 for the sales. It sold the most of any Precure season ever. It sold 12.68 billion yen according to this chart. Coming in at number 8 on the short list is Yes 5. Yes 5 Precure has transformations. Their group transformation is a minute and 35 seconds. Yes 5 lands pretty much in the middle, landing in at number 8 on the sales chart for 8.97 billion yen. Transformations are starting to get a little bit longer now. Reaching the halfway point, we have Maho Tsukai, which had transformations. It had a multitude of transformations, actually. I haven't seen Maho Tsukai yet, but because I know that the diamond version seems to be their flagship outfits, I chose that one over the ruby, sapphire, etc. That one is, the diamond one is a minute and 36 seconds, and Maho Tsukai landed at number 16 on the sales chart. It sold 6.35 billion yen. And now we are reaching the longer transformations. Transformations that are over a minute and 40 seconds begin now. Tying at number 10, Go Princess and Sweet transformations. They are both a minute and 40 seconds long. Like I said, for Sweet, I chose Melody and Rhythms transformation over the one with all 4 of them because it appears more frequently in the show. And Sweet landed at number 3 on the sales chart, so it's a longer one and it's a bit higher at number 3, the highest long transformation so far. And Go Princess unfortunately lands at number 17 on the sales chart. Very low. Before Tropical Rouge, before Delicious Party, Go Princess was the worst selling season of Precure, which hurts my heart, but those were just the facts of the matter. Coming in at a number 11, Kira Kira Precure has transformations, group transformations, that are a minute and 40 43 seconds. This is the one with all 6 of them because it does appear more frequently, because this is about the time when the mid-season cure started to appear by like episode 20. So Kira Kira had a minute and 43-second transformation, and Kira Kira landed at number 14 on the sales chart with 7.12 billion yen sold for it. Number 12 is Yes 5 Go Go, which was a minute and 46 seconds for their transformation. 5 Go Go landed at number 5 on the sales chart. It sold 10.03 billion yen. Oh, I'm going crazy saying these numbers. Coming in at number 13 is Happiness Charge Precure. Their transformation, a minute and 54 seconds. We are starting to get up there. We are heading into the 2-minute territory. We're almost there. And Happiness Charge was an anniversary season. It was the 10th anniversary of Precure, and it landed fittingly at number 10 on the sales chart. It sold 8.52 billion yen in its run. Tying at number 14 for lengthy transformations is Star Twinkle and Delicious Party. We have now hit the 2-minute mark because these transformations are both 2 minutes and 1 second. It's interesting how this plays out because Star Twinkle landed at number 11 on the sales chart. It sold 8.5 billion yen, while Delicious Party, as we know, is the least selling, the worst selling, least amount of sales season of Precure, however you say that, but Delicious Party is the least selling season so far. Meanwhile, Star Twinkle, while being quite low on the list, it is in the lower half. It did do pretty well considering some of its neighboring seasons. Hugto did do better than Star Twinkle in terms of sales. However, Star Twinkle is the best selling season of the past 4 or 5 years, so it did pretty well in that context. Number 15, we're getting up there because we're making a big jump up to 2 minutes and 12 seconds. That transformation is Smile Precure. Smile Precure had a 2-minute and 12-second group transformation, and Smile landed at number 5 on the sales chart. This was kind of like Precure's heyday, that, like, what would you call it? That 2009 to 2014 era. It was selling really well. Smile sold 10.58 billion yen. Yes, it is at number 5 on the sales chart, and it is the second most longest transformation sequence. And now, for the longest transformation sequence in the Precure franchise in general, we have Fresh Precure. Fresh Precure, all 4 of them, the transformation sequence is 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Yes, that is the longest transformation sequence in all of Precure thus far. There is the one with the 3 girls, excluding Cure Passion. However, again, I chose the transformation that appeared the most frequently. And in terms of sales, Fresh comes in at number 4. So it sold 11.01 billion yen, and it was on the higher side. This is the second most highest, longest transformation, if that makes sense. So that is all of the chart information. I'm going to put a visual on here just so you can see it more clearly, and so you can visualize exactly what this looks like, where the shorter transformations land on the sales list, where the longer transformations are, and see that for yourself. See if there are any trends, any commonly appearing patterns, because I have a few noteworthy things to talk about. Noteworthy things. There are an equal number of shorter and longer transformations in the top half as there are in the bottom half. The top 2 selling seasons had transformation lengths that were in the shorter half, with Heart Catch being a minute and 32 seconds and Max Heart being a minute and 5 seconds. There is a decent chunk of long transformations taking up the 3rd through 6th spots in sales, which could be notable, but is probably not. The shortest group transformation, Hugto, is in the middle at number 9, while the longest transformation, Fresh, is up higher at number 4. So what exactly can we gather from this data? I think this is inconclusive, but I probably knew that before doing this. There doesn't seem to be any direct relationship between the length of a Precure transformation and how well the toys and merchandise sells. The top 2 selling seasons having shorter transformation lengths is evidence of that. I honestly think that the frequency of transformations rather than the length of them would possibly, big emphasis on the possibly, pose a more accurate study. So like, how many transformations we see in each episode? Is it 1? Is it 2? But that would have been a great amount of work. And to be very honest with you, I was not about to do all of that. But really, again, there is so much that plays a role in the success of Precure toy sales. Transformations do, to some effect, serve as an advertisement for said toys, as do the attack sequences. But their time-lapse alone will not play a part in viewers convincing their parents or whomever to buy one. However, all of this is in the context of Precure. Early magical girl transformations from shows like Himitsu no Ako-chan and Sally the Witch had transformations that were all only a few seconds long. They were simple shots of lights flashing briefly and then suddenly wearing a new dress. Toys were not being made at such a degree for those shows as they are now. With a longer time slot for stock animation, anything that the Precure writers put in that time slot effectively serves as an ad. However, as you can see from the research that I did, when put up against its own seasons and works, this data does tell a different story, and I'm not necessarily sure if they are comparable. But in any case, I feel like thinking of magical girl transformations in this context, this cold, heartless, capitalistic context, can really take away from the emotional impact that transformations have on people. I view them as like a shedding of your skin, realizing what you're capable of, finding the strength within, and then using that to fight for what you believe in. And then they're just cute, babes. The dress up aspect is fun. I've always wanted to float majestically while my own soundtrack plays to my metamorphosis. Magical girl transformations have seriously always been my favorite part of magical girl shows. I used to watch the compilations on YouTube in like 360p. Like, I think I just wish that being a magical girl were an occupation that I could take up in the future. So I tend to just love and enjoy them all, no matter how long they are. The time lapse makes no difference to me. And honestly, the girls that get it. And if anything, at the end of the day, it's a great opportunity to get up and get a snack. So I want to hear from you guys. Why do you think magical girl transformations of modern day are so long? And also, what do the transformation sequences mean to you? Do they have any larger meaning to yourself? Is it something that impacts you and has impacted you in the same way it has for me? And also, thank you for 1K. It reached 1K. It's very cool. I have been watching Star Twinkle. I plan to finish it. I plan to do a few videos on it. I'm enjoying it a lot, actually. But I do have some gripes, a couple of things to talk about with it. I also kind of started Owl House. Is it Owl House or The Owl House? In any case, I'm going to do some reviewing of that. So I will see you soon in the next one. I'm gonna take a picture of this and put it in my community tab because these notes absolutely using that highlighter. See you soon.